When we're talking about goal setting for students, there's some things that are obvious and some things that aren't so obvious. So when you're studying for a test and say your goal is an A, right? You don't always know that if I'm going to take these actions, study for the test, say for half an hour, am I going to get that A or not, right? So if you're going to take the actions to get to class in the morning by 8 a.m., you have a pretty good idea if you're going to be there or not. But if you're going to study for an hour, it's still uncertain. It's still uncertain if you're going to get that A or not, because maybe the test might be weird, it might be changed, the thing that you might be studying for might be different. So there's these variables that make a student feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't study for the test, because if I don't study, at least I'll get a C still, right? And I'll have that hour or so to do whatever else I want. And they do know that, well, if I study for the test, I'm more likely to get a better grade, but it's not certain, right? It's not guaranteed that you're going to get an A, that your goal for an A is going to be like achieved absolutely. So this discourages students, and I'm saying, well, at least you know that if you do study, it's going to be better than if you didn't study, right? Let's go deeper into the unobvious, the things that might be like, well, why is my goal setting not helping out here? So let's say you always get C's in math, like forever, you get this grade. So then you say, okay, I'm going to have a new goal this semester. My goal is for an A. I'm going to get an A in this class. I'm going to get an A in this next test. And so then you make that goal, you set that goal, but when you check inside, right, you might even write out, do whatever all these goal setting people say, oh, I'm going to write out, okay, my next test for math, I'm going to get an A. But then when you look at it, right, inside, say in your gut, in your heart, like your whole body says, yeah, whatever. And so like your system like rejects the goal. Even if your head says, okay, I could probably do that, and you write it down, and maybe you can do it, but it's just like wishful thinking. It's just like, oh, I'm going to think positive and maybe I'll get an A and stuff like that. And so a lot of students hate setting goals. A lot of students don't like to set goals, period, because it's kind of like setting yourself up for failure. Does that make sense? As much as you'd like to get an A on your next test, as much as you'd like to get an A in that class, like a whole part of you, like your whole experience says, nah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so you might invest in tutors, you might invest in a bunch of things, you might like really try really hard. When you look into your future, right? Because when you're setting goals, you're setting up for a new future that it still feels like it's not going to happen. So, taking a deeper look at the unobvious here, something else has got to change. Something inside's got to change.